And hello, welcome back to the Oye Dimelo Cinema Club. I'm not gonna fucking fuck up the name like I do every time we end this goddamn show. But here we are. I am JP Cerno. Unfortunately, Michaela won't be here today. She's got a case of the vapors. So let's hope that by the time that she watches this, that she is in good health again. So I am here today, of course, with our group. We got Steve Dez in the house, El Donino, and Jason Eccles as well. We are all here. Woo, woo,
Hey, movie
woo.
lovers.
Woot woot
Ooh.
woot woot.
And Michaela pulled a me, in which what I mean by that is she's not here for her pick, and I'm pretty sure I've done that at least twice in this show. I'm pretty sure I've done it more than once, which is not a good look. But she's she gets a freebie because I'm a bad example. The movie that she picked for us to watch today was Robert Zemeckis presents a Tim Burton movie. That's a joke. He's not at all involved. Did anyone else get that vibe from this fucking movie? Okay.
Right away. Right
I
away.
Robert Zemeckis' Death Becomes Her, starring Meryl Streep, Goldie Hawn, and Bruce Willis before he quit acting. That's also.
Heyo! Zinga!
And why did she pick this movie? I don't know. But to be quite honest, just like most films that I watch here in this group, yeah, I was pleasantly surprised. It was a.
I'll jump in. I know why she picked the movie, because now what we're doing is we're picking a movie that has some connection to the previous movie, and that's either actor, director, sound designer, and so she picked it because the Joanna Johnston was the costume designer or something from The Long Kiss Goodnight, which is the one that I picked before. So that's why she ended up picking this movie, because there's that connection of the costumes from The Long Kiss Goodnight and the costume production of Death Becomes Her.
Which good on that guy, because the costumes, I'll admit, are pretty good. I'm just
That's a
surprised.
woman, but yeah.
Oh, the woman. God damn. Just cancel me now. I'm basically at death's door at this point, so I got nothing else to live for. We're fine. We're all good here. How are you?
Anyway, so JP, was this your first time watching it?
Yes, and I had no idea that this movie existed. And like I said before in the beginning, because I like Robert Zemeckis, I've seen a lot of his movies. This one I had no idea existed. So when I first watched it, I couldn't help but feel like, are we sure that he made this film? Because this is getting some heavy Burton vibes. All we need is a little bit more like angular designs on the buildings, and it's basically a Burton movie. So I guess this is part of my first impressions. I'm surprised that Zemeckis came out with this stuff, and it's a funny movie. It feels so old school for something relatively new. Like what? This was the '90s, right? This movie came out during the '90s. I think it was a '90s movie, and it definitely feels a lot older story wise, which I'm sure we'll talk about later. But yeah, this is my first time watching it, and pleasantly surprised. It's actually pretty damn funny, and I hope this doesn't come off the wrong way. But Meryl Streep, I guess, kind of relaxes her acting chops in this film, or at least she knew how to act in this type of movie. Maybe that's the better phrasing for it.
You think she said?
Because I don't think it's her best work, but I feel that she was acting towards what the movie was asking of her.
I think she did great, but Yeah, I do not agree with that comment at all. I think she was playing the role. So watching this, I guess I'll jump in my. I've seen this movie before. The movie is from 1992, and it's one of those we were talking about. I don't know if it was for Tim Burton. Well, we watched Beetlejuice a couple of weeks ago, so I don't know if it's because of that or because of The Long Kiss Goodnight. But we're talking about checking out movies from the video club or video store, whatever you called it, and this is one of those that I remember checking out because of the cover. It looked like a cool cover. And in '92, like, I was pretty young. And so it was a little scary at times, or just like spooky. At least from I remember, there were definitely a couple moments when I was a kid that I watched it and I was like, ugh. But watching it now as an adult, because again, I hadn't watched it since, I don't know, '92, '94 maybe. I think it's so great. There's so many things that I've picked up that I would have never gotten like before. So I really enjoyed it. There were so many nods, so many small things. My biggest takeaway of this movie is like it's in LA. Well, it starts in New York and then in LA. I don't think it's ever rained as much in LA as it did in this movie. And with that, Steve, what's your first thoughts?
My first impressions. Oh my god. Oh my god. So I had no clue again, like JP, that this movie even existed. Uh, I do agree. I was like, wow, Bruce Willis can act. Like I can't. I never seen a Bruce Willis movie that he actually acted. So this was great for me to experience this. The other thing I experienced, which is part of the narrative of the movie, I was like, wait, this movie came out in 1992, which means it was made before 1992. And Meryl Streep looks old in this movie. I was like, how old is she? Like, is she drinking that juice like for real? Like, is this movie revealing some secret part of Hollywood that I never discovered yet? Uh, but and I thought the woman was the other woman that plays the one that has the hole in the middle.
Oh, I think I said it right.
I
Goldie.
forgot. So I thought she was
Yeah,
Catwoman.
Goldie Hawn.
I thought she was Catwoman for a while, but she wasn't. It was something Pfeiffer.
Oh, Michelle.
No, Goldie. Well, yeah, Michelle Pfeiffer was Catwoman. This is Goldie Hawn, Kurt Russell's main squeeze.
Yeah, I thought she looked like her. Um, yeah, the only part that I had like a tough part watching, but then again, it's like, but I don't see. This is the thing that I'm having issues with. It's a 1992 movie, so was this movie meant to be sort of scary or something like that? Because watching it now, and I don't know if that was the way they wanted to be designed by that time. It's very funny.
Well, at this time there was a lot of these type of movies coming out with these weird special effects, kind of bleeding into like the horror genre just slightly. Mostly because they could just do them for the first time. This is around the same era as that one movie that Dino recommended, the Spanish flick with what's the guy's name? Not Peter Jackson. Spanish Peter
Pedro,
Jackson.
Pedro Jackson.
Yeah, Pedro Jackson. What was his
Uh,
name?
I did one with a Spanish.
Yeah,
Oh, is it like a Pan's Labyrinth or oh
the guy who
the,
directed
the
Pan's Labyrinth.
yeah the vampire Guillermo del Toro.
Yeah, Del Toro. What was the Del Toro movie?
The with and Ron Perlman, the vampire one.
Yeah, from the night like '92. Chronos
Kronos,
or something. Chronos.
Kronos.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, this is
Chronos.
like around the same time as that. It's all that kind of vibe, and also Meryl Streep was in another movie that was kind of dark and twisted like this, with
The
Roseanne
vibe,
Barr.
the vibe, the vibe. But what I'm saying, Kronos was like creepy and like this one. May at least for Kid Dino had moments like that, but for me, it was like it's funny, and I
Yeah,
didn't know if that was the intention.
I mean, well, that good. I'm glad. Yeah, that's what I was thinking watching it this time. I'm like, is this a comedy? But I think I don't know if Jason just said, but it's like it's around the same time, give or take, as Beetlejuice, also, right? And it's like there are a few
88,
darkish
four
moments
years.
of Beetle, huh? There's a few different moments in Beetlejuice that it's kind of like, is this for kids? What is this rated? Like, who is this for? Type of movie. But I guess before we get into that, maybe Jason can drop some knowledge with his first impressions.
Well, my first impression is I still enjoy this movie. I think it holds up. I've seen it many times as a kid. It used to come on cable all the time. I'd be at my grandma's house watching it. So I've seen this thing backwards and forwards, and I watched it a bunch because it was a movie that had like crazy special effects, and you just like as a kid, you're like, how do they do that? You know, like I don't know. I don't. I still I'm not 100% sure. Um, my
Uh,
first impression, I kind of felt the same way as you, Steve, where I was like, man, Meryl Streep looks older in this thing than she does like 10 years ago. But the thing is, like Meryl Streep's 43 in this movie, and they do make her up to look a little older. They're like putting wrinkles and stuff on her and around her mouth and face. So they're making her to be what they need her to be in this thing. Um, but what and Goldie Hawn, like Goldie Hawn has handled comedy so well, and Meryl Streep wasn't really known for like comedy straight up, like not really being the funny knockdown woman like she is in this movie. But Meryl Streep's a great actor, so she's going to pull it off no matter what. One person I forgot about in this movie, and I've seen this movie so many times, was Isabella Rossellini, and like how
mhm.
ridiculous she is in this film. Like, let's not forget her with all that jewelry on, and like that was her outfit, just a bunch of jewelry, you know. In a movie that's about vanity and staying young and all that kind of stuff, and magic and spells. Um, I still like this movie. I still like it. It's still dark. It's twisted. It's still funny. It does very much feel like a Tim Burton production. I don't know where this came from, the Robert Zemeckis world, but I almost feel like the studio wanted Tim Burton to direct this, and he got busy doing something else because But this is in Robert Zemeckis' wheelhouse, obviously, and I didn't realize he directed it into the opening scene of the movie when it shows the title card. Still like it. Still like this movie. I have to disagree with JP on his assessment that Meryl Streep is bad in this movie. She's just failing over the top comedy like everybody else. It's just we're not used to seeing her do it. But I think she's doing that responsibility fairly well. Yeah. So all in all, man, like I feel like the movie holds up from when I seen it probably 25 years ago. I don't know.
Yeah, so this is after Back to the Future 3 and before Forrest Gump for Robert Zemeckis. So, and then he had a couple of movies in between those as well. But yeah, I totally disagree with JP of like Meryl Streep sucking. I think she was playing the part. Can I? I know. I think Michaela would talk about the costumes and stuff like that. How I actually rewound because when I was watching the beginning and it's the musical number, I was like, it got to the point where it pans over to Bruce Willis and Goldie Hawn, and I was like, was that one continuous shot? And so I was like, let me rewind back. And it was. And this movie just seemed like everyone was having fun. Now, I haven't gone and checked and seen any of like interviews or whatever, but I just thought Meryl Streep was having fun because they even talk about they made a musical about a movie, and it's a Paul Newman Geraldine Page Sweet Bird of Youth. So that opening musical is supposed to be a musical adaptation of this movie from '62, and it's in '78 when the movie starts. So they also have that weird disco music number in it, and they pan through the audience. Like I'm like, how many takes was it? Like that's what I was thinking. I was like, this is so much fun. Like they seem like they're having fun, and also how many takes just to have the panning right of Meryl Streep dancing, having fun, and then you continually kind of pan out, and the extras are getting up and moving, and then it gets close into a Bruce William Goldie Hawn, and Bruce Willis is like, oh my god, she's great or whatever. Like you gotta do that a few times. So yeah, I think Meryl Streep played it great. Um, and I forgot that there was the all that makeup for Goldie Hawn and just like her putting out all that weight and being a cat lady and all that at the very beginning. Like this movie had so many more layers that I remember it having. And
There's
and
still so many questions. There's still so many questions though. Like, what happened to the cats?
Oh, they
well
did.
they
I think they got put out just like she did.
yeah,
They definitely did.
euthanized.
They became street cats.
Yeah. But yeah, so
Euthanized. They
I
did. Meryl Streep's character got younger, euthanized.
also, so I was also kind of checking ages because it was like 7 years later, 7 years, another 7 years later. Bruce Willis is 10 years younger than Meryl Streep, and now I feel like like there they definitely aged Meryl Streep and aged Goldie Hawn and kind of played with Bruce Willis a little bit. But now I'm like, oh, Bruce Willis looks a little rough. And it didn't help when I was watching it on Peacock with commercials. Bruce Willis Die Hard commercial came on. Not like for the movie Die Hard, but for the battery Die Hard that he's been doing. And I'm just like, oh, Bruce Willis, you look a little rough around the edges there, buddy. Uh,
Some sandpaper. Just sand him.
It's the alcohol.
yeah.
Yeah, well, we'll see how you look in 30 years, buddy.
Yeah, I know. Cheers.
Slightly off topic, but did you guys know that he did a commercial recently where he's not even in the commercial? They just deep faked some actor. Like they deep faked his face on some actor, and he got money for that.
For what?
I don't remember what the commercial was for, but it was like they got $1 million for not even showing up. So just his image, which is fair because that's his image. But I heard that he, like, for a single day's work, like even like just for a little bit of screen time, lots and lots of money. So I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
Well, why not? So yeah, okay. So let's, I guess, maybe tackle. Is this a comedy? Is it clearly dark humor? Is this a thriller? Is this supposed to be scary? Is this supposed to just be kind of spoofing something else at the time?
To me, I put it in the same category as Beetlejuice. Like, it's like a dark humor type of thing.
It's campy, and I'm sure like whatever a campy movie is, this movie is definitely what that is, which is basically an amalgamation of like all of that stuff, like satirical, got some little deep messaging involved. It's funny, a little bit of horror, but most horrors have some humor in it. So I'm just gonna say camp. It's camp.
You know what I remember that I really enjoyed this time around was the when Goldie Hawn is telling Bruce Willis how they're gonna kill, spoiler alert, how they're gonna kill Meryl Streep, and I feel like that's what Ant-Man has done with like Michael Pena and some other people, where like it's showing the cutscenes of what they're gonna do while she's explaining it, and then it even goes into like the coroners looking at the body and she's explaining it, and they're also like they're lip syncing to what she's saying. And I was like, oh man, is this one of the first movies to do that? Because that's become a little bit, not a trope, but that's clearly a tool that's been used more and more now, I feel like, where as someone is kind of explaining what happened or what's gonna happen, not only are they talking while showing what's happening, but then they're even talking for other people. Uh, so that's something that I noticed this time around that I really got a kick out. Uh, I also just really miss Goldie Hawn. I think she, like she used to be in a bunch of movies that I watched growing up also. So seeing her again, I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, I suppose I suppose I forgot Goldie Hawn was in this movie, even though I knew it was her. Like if somebody was asked me who it was, I would have like, that's Goldie Hawn. I would have remembered it, but it's just not one of the ones that come to mind when I think of Goldie Hawn. But I'm sorry. That's all I wanted to say about that.
uh, yeah, I know. I mean, Captain. She was in Captain Ron, right? No.
Yes, yeah,
Yes.
that with Russell, Kurt Russell.
Yeah, and Martin Short.
Yeah,
That's what, yeah, because Martin Short and Goldie Hawn are a couple, and Kurt Russell is the captain of the boat. Uh, the other thing, oh, what was the other? Okay, here's another question. I don't know if how many people, how many celebrities did you guys notice that were at that party that had taken the potion?
Basically, anyone from the 50s.
Fake Elvis. Uh, Budget Marilyn Monroe.
Was Andy Warhol also there? Like
Yeah.
he was with Marilyn Monroe.
Oh,
Yeah.
that was
And,
I was gonna say Steve Madden, but
No, that was
and
Warhol.
and
Meryl
Bruce
Streep.
Willis. Wait, what?
He
Meryl
said
Streep.
Meryl Streep.
I
James
think,
Dean.
yeah, he takes James Dean's car, which is like such a low job.
No, that was James Franco.
Oh, that was James Franco. Also makes
That's
sense.
crazy. Like I
Uh,
thought that too. I was like, is that a young James? I was like, no, that's supposed to be James Dean. You fucking idiot.
Jim Morrison, right? Is it Jim Morrison from The Doors? Am I mistaken the name?
that's right.
Yeah,
Oh,
he's in the swimming pool. He's about to get in the swimming pool.
That was him?
when yeah, that was him.
that was supposed to be him. I didn't catch that.
Bill Clinton,
Who?
Jeffrey Epstein.
Oh, Jeffrey
What?
Epstein. Um,
Tom Cruise.
and I feel like there were two more. I can't remember.
I'm
the
sure
other two,
if you have to look again, like there's a lot because like, I'm going to assume that like as dark as this is gonna get, if Marilyn's there, fucking Kennedy has to be there too.
well, clearly it was more celebrities than
Yeah.
than
Then like politicians
yeah.
or people with
I
power.
saw Pablo Escobar at the bar.
Yeah. Well, I think I saw Abe Lincoln, but maybe I was wrong with
I
that.
wouldn't doubt it, especially like with the like I'm sure if it wasn't the hat, it was definitely like the fucking beard.
He was talking with Obama in the back. The only
From Harvard?
that's the only thing that I was kind of disappointed to. I was like, man, if this is gonna be a party that all these celebrities are here, make it like a little bit more, like don't make it so little. Like it was just like a bunch of randos, and then
What do you
like
mean? Well, not necessarily. I mean, they could be rich if you think about it. I mean, Bruce Willis was a doctor, right? He was a plastic surgeon. He just happened to be married to a movie star or a washed up movie star, I guess, if you will.
I just think the idea that these celebrities who decided to take this potion never change clothing for. I know that it's for us, the audience, to realize, oh, that's them. But like in context, like you're not gonna fucking wear your iconic getup like to a party, you know? Like
Well, I guess I mean, yeah. I was gonna say the only one who truly, I guess, has his get up is Elvis. I
yeah.
mean, you would think maybe Warhol would change his haircut or something like that, and Merlin has what, like a red dress or some shit like that, and I mean, clearly it was like was James Dean because he didn't even talk. Is his just like was his audition just like the side look with like a pop color? Is that what it was like? All right, look at the camera.
And that's all they needed.
Yeah.
Whoever they picked, he actually had a really good profile, so it definitely worked. I'm sure there's if you guys are watching, someone do a little compilation video of who's in the background. I'm pretty sure if it doesn't exist already, someone do it because I'm not going to.
Damn.
Let's talk about the deaths.
Oh yeah.
Or
Well,
lack
and that
thereof.
that can also go into like CGI and stuff like that, I guess. What about the deaths, Steve? Since you brought it up.
There's so many. What was your favorite death?
uh, I guess it would have to be Meryl's because it's so funny. Like we brought like if someone brought up, I think it was where this was before Forrest Gump, and I probably would like to believe like Zemeckis probably used this movie to test. Okay, how much can I get away with in this movie, and can I use the same techniques for my next movie? When it comes to like computer animation and what to do with special effects. Because it's funny to see like Meryl contort herself back to
Right.
try to be regular, and you could see some shots like the shots from behind her head are clearly practical, but everything from the front, like okay, it's a mixture of CGI and compositing, but it's just it looks so like oddly enough that special effect didn't look bad. It looked aged definitely, but it didn't look bad. It was pretty good what they managed to do
Well,
there.
if,
But
if if you think about it, I mean, Zemeckis was coming off of Back to the Future, and like that was having more and more kind of special effects and a little CGI and a combination of camera trick with also the one where I think you can tell them favorite. I think the Goldie Hawn one to me because she has a hole in the middle. So just the idea that they had to they had to shoot around that hole, but
sorry,
they that one's for you, JP. Uh, that one's free, but the next one's gonna cost you. That one I think was the one that maybe aged, or you could tell the most that it was when she's getting up from the fountain, and it's like she's clearly is that composite like she's in front of a screen of that like it was a weird. You could tell like that she was like sitting in front of like a screen that's
yeah.
showing them or whatever. But then you have them fighting and they're just showing the shadows and she has the hole inside of her. And my other favorite is Meryl throwing the broken broom and it goes through. They just had so much fun because she like
Yeah.
throws the kind of like a dart or whatever. She's like yes, and they're like I went through the giant hole, and then when Goldie goes to like sit down in the couch, just happens to sit down, and of course doesn't even notice that the broken broom or what or shovel is going and just perfectly fits in to her giant hole. So I don't know that to me as a kid I think was way more mind boggling than the. Ooh, did you guys hear that?
Yeah, I did. That was not put in post. That was real.
Yeah, that was real. Then Meryl doing that. But yeah, that whole Meryl just like having to like hold her head up and then like because like I don't know. I enjoyed how much fun it seemed like they were having doing it. But
Oh man, that hole in her stomach though, like I couldn't help but like it's like it was still like the cuts from what I saw looked pretty rough, but I couldn't help but like the things like back then like just them having to try to figure that out, like that must have been hell, but they use it to the best of their abilities, and like they spared no expense for that for those shots regarding the hole in the stomach. I really did like that. Her going through the shovel handle. It's like, oh my god, that probably took so long to figure out. Like, just time it right or whatever. But I can at least appreciate it. It's a little rough now, but like the fact that the kid even pull it off back then, it's something really to behold.
nice. Jason, do you have a favorite death?
A favorite bit. Oh, yeah, I gotta say it's the head thing, like the head swap and the hole in the same as everybody else. Because I remember as a kid, that's what was on like the video box, and the climax of the movie as a kid is to see all those special effects with the heads and the holes and them just falling apart. Like that was all just like brilliant, and to me, that's when the movie was at its most heightened. So I was actually when I was watching this movie, I was really looking forward to that scene. So I think we're all kind of in agreement that we're all still children and we like that kind of stuff.
I think it's funny though, because like technically they didn't die, so they're not exactly the only one who does die in this film is Bruce Willis. But I guess what one could say that even his death was pretty damn good. The funeral scene at the end,
Yeah.
and Goldie Hawn and Meryl Streep's bantering in the back. It's pretty damn good, and just the priest's little sermon and speech, the eulogy, like it was just. I'm not gonna lie, for me it was a little. Yeah, I don't want to say too ham, but it felt a little too long. I was hoping that the movie was gonna end a little bit sooner than that, but like what they ended up doing with that scene, pretty damn good.
Yeah, this movie
Steve?
still has a lot of high points. What I find odd is it's like if you look at the Rotten Tomato scores and whatnot, like it's only 61% audience and 53% critic. So
Yeah.
I mean, this movie's cutting hit and miss with people.
You
Like I
know,
feel like nostalgia people are probably the ones who enjoy it the most. I don't know. Or
you
maybe they
know,
feel like JP felt and thought like, Meryl Streep's acting wasn't very good.
Sorry, not just. What
You
was
don't
it? She
you
has
don't
the
have
most.
to be sorry here at the cinema club, JP.
Well, she has the most Oscar nominations, but technically she's lost more than one, so she's the biggest loser. One could argue. So
I think she's doing okay. So here it says, and again from IMDb, box office budget 55 million, and then opening weekend in the U.S. 12 million, U.S. gross 58 million, worldwide gross 149 million. So it's that one where clearly around the world it seems like this was way more popular than here. Um, it's also interesting for like Bruce Willis. This is after The Last Boy Scout and Hudson Hawk, and before Pulp Fiction, right? So Bruce Willis is when he was still doing a lot of kind of lighter comedies. I don't know if you guys watch Hudson Hawk. That's another one that I watched as a kid. So yeah, it's nice. Kind of like we talked a little bit about Alec Baldwin, right? In freaking Beetlejuice, playing not your typical role. Who's the other one that we kind of talked the same thing that they were playing a role that we haven't seen him? Oh, Samuel Jackson in The Last Kiss Goodnight, right?
yes, that
Like
I
playing
feel bad for
these
missing that.
playing non-alpha characters, right? Is and seeing like, hey, they can play something other than the one role they're kind of been, typecasted, or not necessarily typecasted, but the ones that you always think that they're going to be playing.
Yeah.
Uh, Steve, do you favorite death? Did you say or bit?
I'll get back to you.
I will say there. Did you notice any Chekhov's gun? Because I feel like, of course, I had already seen the movie, so seeing certain stuff, I was like, oh, they're showing that. So a lot of like beyond the there's a rack of shotguns and stuff like that, and it's pretty in frame. Like they keep it. I That's one thing that I kept noticing was just how they were framing the shots and stuff, and I just like that's super interesting that they're doing that. And there were mirrors everywhere. I feel like every scene there was at least one mirror, and I was like, man, they're just like we're just gonna move these cameras around and make sure we don't see a reflection of the camera or the people.
I honestly wouldn't be surprised that even like with those simple shots that Zemeckis probably pulled some weird effect as well. Because like I like after seeing stuff from like how they made Back to the Future and Forrest Gump, like just the amount of like actual special effects that they use in certain shots that one would think don't really need it. So I wouldn't be surprised that would, because I noticed that too. It's like there's a lot of like that one shot where she comes into like her room and like she's literally behind a wall of mirrors, but you don't see a camera at all. I wouldn't be surprised they found a way to just like maybe there is an actual camera there. They just decided to erase it in post or something. I honestly wouldn't be surprised.
I mean, CGI wasn't that available though. I feel like at that time to make it cost efficient. Is that effective? Efficient? I think most of their stuff was practical. So um, yeah. I wanted to see more of the musical. I was digging the musical scene at the beginning. I was like, I could see a whole thing of just Meryl Streep hamming it up as a bad Broadway star.
Just a whole movie of that, huh?
Yeah. Oh, of bad acting? Yeah, because that's what she was doing. Because
Yo, what was up with that eye twitching stuff?
Oh, from the dude from the other clinic.
Because he was dead, right? Like he had also kind of died, so he kind of had to like put his eye back in place. That's what I got out of it.
Oh, I didn't
Because
think that.
that's
That's a good theory.
and they were trying to get him because they could. Is it Rossellini? Is that her name? Last name?
Yeah, Isabella Rossellini.
Yeah, like they knew of Bruce Willis, like because he was a plastic surgeon and then a mortician basically, and so they were kind of trying to get him to be part of the crew, because that's like they need someone that can kind of take care of these people that are slowly decomposing if they don't take care of each other, of themselves. So that's how I saw it. That they were more interested in him than Meryl and Goldie.
See, I did not think that deep into the film. That's
No, I knew that. The only thing that I can't put together fully was what was the transition between him being a surgeon and an undertaker.
Say
Say
that
that again.
again. The transition between him being a surgeon and a what?
Undertaker.
What about it? But what was your question? What did you think of what?
Like, when was the transition? Like, what was the motive? How did that happen?
Well, because he married Meryl, and
And
that
she
that
was
was the whole. That Meryl just kind of ruined him. That's what I got of it. That he was this huge plastic surgeon, and she kind of wanted that for herself, and then just kind of sucked out the joy out of him.
Poem, poetic.
Okay, because I just thought there was like maybe something I missed where his license got revoked or something. Because I'm like, why can't you just go back and do surgery? Like I don't get it.
I thought it was just assumed that those two women were just toxic for him. That he was such a, like a beta, and that like you shouldn't do that, and
Yeah, until he's Chris Brown, Meryl Streep.
well, that was self defense, right?
That's what he put in his
That's what he
claim.
said.
Right.
You're back.
And
No
then
one. If
called
there
him,
wasn't a
"Hey,
camera
I
there, we
did it!
wouldn't have
I
known
did
that.
it!" What?
If there wasn't a camera right there, we wouldn't have known that he
I mean, it
tapped
was
her.
the '90s. Amazon hasn't invaded your home yet.
Right. Um,
That's to play Despacito.
There's a lot people got away with. Meryl Streep was like, we'll just bury her, you know. Talking about that, that was cool though. Now going back to my favorite bit, it was cool when like he's on the phone and Meryl Streep's in the back like getting up.
yeah. I mean, it was similar. Yeah, those were great little shots, even with. Okay, JP, this was your first. Was this your first time, Steve? Also,
Yeah,
Yeah.
did you? I mean, did you guys have any idea that one of them was gonna die and like come back? And
no,
after you saw Meryl, did you think the same thing was gonna happen with Goldie, or did you just assume maybe Goldie was actually dead at that point?
You know what's crazy? Kayla actually, while we were watching the film, she noticed the lapel on Goldie Hawn's character when she was with Bruce Willis in the while Meryl Streep was away. So that bit was kind of not ruined because she caught it. Like it was one of those things like, oh wait, she's wearing the same fucking thing. It's like, oh man, they're gonna like as soon as Meryl Streep like doesn't die, we kind of assume like, oh, they're gonna probably do the same thing to her, and the same thing's gonna happen. She's not gonna die because of the potion that they took. So Michaela was able to catch that pretty damn quick because she noticed that she had the same pin. So I thought that was crazy. But I honestly did not think that this movie, even though it's in the title, that they were gonna straight up kill her and
Merc.
not well murk her. Yeah, she was gonna go straight up murked, but not murked.
um,
Um,
with me, the Meryl Streep one surprised me, uh, and then the second one, I wasn't as shocked. I didn't know, but I wasn't as shocked because I do remember when we did cinema club that I put the poster, and in the poster she has a gigantic circle,
yeah. And a
and
hand, and she has her head is backwards in the poster. It actually is a giveaway if you look at it. Meryl Streep has. It's because of the cut of the dress. It looks like she's kind of facing forward, but
Oh my
her
gosh, that's
neck is going.
hilarious.
Yeah.
Could you imagine having to put a spoiler alert on a poster? Oh my
Um,
gosh, how many takes of that damn poster are there?
so
That's hilarious.
okay, this apparently won the Oscar for Best Visual Effects in '92, beating out Batman Returns and Alien 3.
I mean it's on par with Flubber, you know.
Oh, come on, man. You don't have to say. I mean, you really putting this with
Bro,
Flubber?
it's like one of the best movies of all time. You never seen that?
I like Flubber.
Yeah, I had it on VHS, but I mean, I don't know. I feel like that's.
97 though?
yeah, that's the other thing. They're not comparable because it's like a good 6 years later, at least, and yeah, you're making that comment. As much as I love Robin Williams, kind of tarnishes this movie.
I thought you were gonna say that tarnishes Robin Williams.
No, I mean RV. I think tarnishes Robin Williams, but actually I don't know that. I haven't watched the movie, but
Or Wild Hogs. They can't all be winners. He's a great guy, but they can't all be winners.
oh,
All
so
right.
the other thing. This seems to be originally. This was gonna. It seems like Zemeckis was gonna try and make this a sequel to Tales from the Crypt, which kind of I guess makes sense at the very end when they talk about Bruce Willis when they're doing the eulogy or whatever, and they even talk about and he loved doing his stories like the Dead Rise in Beverly Hills or whatever, right? Um, so maybe that's a little bit of it from that.
Huh.
Makes sense.
I did not know that.
I'm just looking at IMDb right now, guys. So maybe
Trivia night. We're doing trivia night.
trivia.
Hey, Jason,
Yeah.
what question do you have about the film?
That's a great question, Steve. Um, I guess I don't have one.
JP, what was your question about the film?
I don't know if I have an actual question regarding the movie. There was like when Nikhil and I were watching it, because we both were commenting pretty hard on the film, but only because like because I think she was very much hesitant about her pick as well. As like, I don't know if I picked a good movie or not. But we ended up really liking it. I guess this is more again like moral dilemma, moral question onto you guys because we ended up asking each other that while we were watching the film. We thought it was pretty weird that they were antagonizing the idea of like maybe living forever or maybe living a little bit longer than the normal person without having to age and shit. With if seeing the movie and even knowing the possible consequences of the film, like, would you guys? I don't know. Would you guys have considered taking a sip of this fucking right here? Not that one. This I can't. It's a green screen. I don't know where it is behind me.
Lick it.
But
Well, I think the great thing about that was that after she drinks, Isabella is like, and now a warning! And she's like, and now a warning! Like, kind of like she's giving out rules or whatever, and then after you take the shot, it's like, oh, and by the way,
which is totally against Twilight Zone rules because they're warned before before you do the thing. So
I honestly thought it was gonna be. I thought it was gonna be more evil.
well, apparently there was major re-edits especially in
Really?
the ending of the film. And that I guess Tracy Ullman was in the film and got cut out completely, but is still in the trailer. So I'd have to look into that a little bit.
Oh wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. So I imagine this was probably darker. I imagine this was probably darker. It's PG-13, but I mean, just with Isabella's role alone, I'm like, that's too much nudity for Americans. I feel like, you know what I mean?
They were really close to like showing a nip and a slit a few times. Very, very close.
Yeah, especially.
I seriously thought when she was like, "There's a party upstairs," I thought it was gonna be like one of those Eyes Wide Shut shit.
Yeah.
And then I saw everybody in suits, and I'm like, ah, it's one of them Hollywood parties.
It's there.
Um,
There's a cut inside the vault. That scene
I
is
don't
in
know
that.
what I don't know was there actual like did you see nudity in the movie? Like maybe as a little kid I thought there was more
Yo,
nudity.
Well, there were some
you,
butt cheeks in the
yo,
beginning.
mad random, but real quick. Do you think some directors, not all directors, I'm not saying this director, but some directors be filming extra scenes and then keeping that footage to themselves?
I don't know if
Yeah.
they're keeping it to themselves. Like the studio would keep it. Now, do they film like scenes, like maybe nude scenes, to have that on file for actors?
Oh God.
Yep, yep. I 100% believe that. There's no way they're
I
throwing away that footage. But there is
Um,
some butt cheeks. Remember when she catches
yeah,
her little side piece Sancho cheating on her in the
that's right.
movie, and like
I,
there's a girl in the back and she's naked.
Yeah, and also, but also that one girl when she's coming out of the pool.
Yeah, Isabel. She had apparently a body double. That's the other thing. I saw that she
no,
had a nude body double, and I'm like, how did they? When did they do that? How would they have fit that?
it
But
couldn't have been in the scene where she walks up to him because like that was almost perfect timing on her and the her male assistants. Like them putting on the robe.
yeah,
Like that was so seamless that it was like wow, like they figured out how to do that shot like without showing anything. I was impressed by that. So it couldn't have
Also,
been that shot.
was I the only one that thought when Bruce Willis got the little drink thing, so instead of drink it, he should just put in his dick.
What?
It
what?
was being
I think
called
that was just
flaccid.
you.
It was
What?
being
Say
called
that again.
flaccid, bro.
Oh, he was being called flaccid. Yeah. Well, because he was an alcoholic. That could have been the only reason why.
Well, only other alcoholics would know.
I don't know what's going on right now.
Maybe. Who knows?
JP, tell us about it.
I don't want to. Come back to you.
You got the poison right there. You got the drink.
Hold on. Let me check.
Where'd he go? Where'd he go?
Alrighty. Before we go into final thoughts, let's talk about the ending.
What
It
about it?
was, go ahead.
Go ahead, JP.
I was gonna say it was. I feel like this movie, like in a different decade, would have done a lot better, and it does very like the ending does very feel like Twilight Zoney. It was kind of preachy, but it was like for like what the movie is and what it's about. It was a very nice payoff. The whole like cut to 37 years. Like what? We're going this far into like what's going on. I thought it was gonna be a really quick gag. I was hoping to see them to like fucking skeletons out in the desert or some shit. I thought it was gonna be a quick gag and then that's it. But then, for them to say like, oh, the hubby, after leaving that, he became a better person, and because of his deeds and whatever, he himself, in a way, will live on forever, in the lives of other people, which is, the regular schlock that people get. But that's so much better than like what happened when I ended up having to, Goldie Hawn and and Meryl Streep, where they're literally just painted corpses, like being held on by the simplest thread, and like sure, like they brought back again the stairs, but like the end result is just them like breaking into bits, and that's their life now. Like they can't die, and they have to that's the consequences that they're literally corpses and they have to live with it. It was fun. It was funny.
They literally broke into a bit at the end.
Da-da-da-da-da-da.
No thoughts about the ending. Okay. I'm just gonna say, what was the deal with not Marilyn Streep, not Meryl Streep, the other chick? What's the name?
Goldie Hawn.
Goldie Hawn. At the end, at the very end, I don't know if you caught it, but I did, and I was just like, how did that happen? When they got broken, her head twirled, like it rolled into screen, and I'm like, how did that happen?
You just heard it in the off screen. It goes. So clearly, either just momentum of it. Well, because then you also right before you see her head spinning, you also see one of the hands is just like kind of tapping. So they, I guess, have some sort of movement and control. But so I think the fact that you see a hand still kind of like tapping, even though it's completely broken off, allows you to think that the head is able to kind of roll around. And they're talking and moving their eyes, so uh, suspension of disbelief, bro. I believe is what the kids are calling it these days.
I I thought Des was talking about how they were able to do that shot with the effects. That's how I
No,
took
I think he's just being a dick about the fact that a head rolled into a
because
shot.
because I'll admit, like out of all the shots, I feel like that one I thought was the most impressive because I feel like the easiest way to do that shot is that that's not really her head. That's just like animatronic or a prop. But like if it is that, it's a pretty damn good prop. Because I think the only character that talks in that moment is Meryl Streep, and her head, like you could tell, okay, they just they either cropped off her body or they had a composition of her head talking and put it onto the screen. But for Goldie Hawn, I can't tell like if that really is her or if that's like I said, a prop that just happens to have like incredible likeness and can move. You know,
Oh, I know.
the trivia.
No, I don't have that trivia.
Well, it's that time, ladies and gentlemen. It's that time for final thoughts. Let's start with you, Steve. Thank you, Steve. uh, my final thought is this is a movie that, for a lot of people, unless you're as old as LeBron James or Dino, this is a movie that you would not have heard of because it's a very underrated movie. Very underrated movie. Never heard of it in my life. Never seen the poster in my life. So first time watching it. Great experience. If you're unsure what you're about to watch, just think it's like a campy comedy, like a Beetlejuice type of movie. It's really fun. Get to see with other people. Enjoyable. Don't mind the effects. I know we're in the future, but don't mind them. And yeah, I will recommend it to pretty much everybody except children below the age of 5. On to you, Jason.
Yeah, I would recommend this movie to just about everyone. To be honest with you, like under the right circumstances. Um, no children, probably under maybe 10, honestly. Um, just because there would be too many questions. I can't imagine like watching this with like a niece or a nephew and just like I don't know. I wouldn't want to deal with it. Um, I think uh, I think this movie holds up pretty well, man. Minus some of the special effects that you understand now what they are, but they are 29, 30 years old. So far as story goes, it's very quirky, it's very dark, it's very funny. If anyone who likes Tim Burton movies, I would absolutely recommend this to them. Like, listen, this is the Burton movie that should have been. Robert Zemeckis stole one of Tim Burton's projects, clearly. Uh, Yeah, anybody who likes that dark, quirky, and I think this movie was really appropriate for Michaela to pick out because it has like all the sensibilities of films she usually picks out. Usually stuff that's a little quirkier, a little darker, a little funny, some horror elements to it. So maybe even a little gory at times. Like that's her jam. So this one kind of checks out for me for her. Yeah, and I like it, held up, and I was happy to see it again.
Thank you, Jason. Let's go with JP.
Oh boy! This was a pretty damn funny movie. Um, with a few of the faults and whatever that I had with it, like all in all, it's a pretty good film. It's one of those films like you can't take it too seriously. It's a fun movie, and I do feel like the story itself is from a whole different decade. I feel like this film, just because of the special effects, like if this was made like 30 years prior to when it was made, probably would have been a lot more remembered or had better success or whatever. But all in all, it's it's so damn campy. It's so damn quirky. It's pretty damn great. And again, like Jason just said, probably not for little kids. And for me, it's strictly because of the booty. You can't show kids booty and like not have them freak out at that, positively or negatively. We're all body positive here, but no booty for 5, 10-year-olds. They can wait till they're at least 13, maybe. That's my final thought.
Thank you, JP. Dino.
So I was no more than 10 years old when I saw this movie for the first time. So I think it's totally okay. Then again, I didn't see it with anyone older than my brother was. I probably saw it with my brother, who's 3 years older than me. So it's not like there were many questions to be asked. Yeah, I would recommend this to a lot of people. I really enjoyed it. I think it probably enjoyed more now than what I remembered that I liked it. Does that make sense? Like as a kid, like I got it. I thought there were funny moments. It's like some death, some kind of nudity, or close enough for a little kid. But it's one of those that lately I'm watching as an adult, and I'm like, this is so much better than what I remember it being. Good, if that makes sense. So yeah, I would recommend it. You like Bruce Willis? Well, then you should watch him acting. You like Meryl Streep? Oh, I know. So like someone in Europe or whatever, they could ask her, "Why did you do this movie? It's so different," or something like that, and she was like, "It was too original of a role or of a movie to pass on," if that makes sense. And I think that's a great kind of description of it. Apparently, also Meryl thought that she was going to be playing Goldie Hawn's character and not the the washed up Broadway sing-songy actress or whatever. So yeah, so I think it's such an original kind of idea that I'd recommend it to all sorts of people. Do you like what is it? Who Framed Roger Rabbit? Right, like there, it's all this kind of weird mid '80s to like mid '90s where these movies, it's like it's kind of for kids, kind of for teens. It's kind of a comedy. It's kind of dark adult humor. It's kind of some scary tones. Man, the '90s were great. Am I right?
They were pretty good. They were pretty good.
So yeah, that's my final thought. Bring back the '90s. Bring back the '90s.
Back when Nickelodeon was good.
Jason, you have a question for me?
Did I have a question for you?
Yeah, you normally do.
Yeah, you have a question for me.
Let me think about it. Steve, what do you have for us next week?
Next week? Why are you asking me? When it's not even my turn. It is. I hope this person's ready. Because the stipulation is, Dino, can you repeat it one more time?
Yes, the stipulation is that we are going to be picking movies that have some connection to the movie we just watched. Whether it's the same actor, whether it's maybe the screenwriter, director, producer, costumer, the associate director, whether
We get
it's
it. We get it. Uh,
like
so the next person is JP.
Oh, whoa. Well, the one thing about this movie that stuck out to me the most, because the easy choice would have been picking another Zemeckis film, but was the makeup. I really liked the makeup, so I decided to look up the makeup artist, and Michaela said, "Oh, you're gonna really like his stuff because it's Dick Smith. He was a legendary makeup artist in Hollywood. Did a lot of horrors, did a lot of movies kind of similar to this, but no more schlock. We're not doing any more schlock. We're going dramatic this time. We're gonna watch The Godfather."
oh,
Wow, same makeup artist as The Godfather, really coming
I
in strong on this one.
did not see that coming at all.
I didn't
Wow.
either. That one threw me for a bit of a loop.
JP, you done did surprise me. Have you seen this, JP?
It's actually one of my favorite movies.
Ah,
So,
interesting.
yeah, we're gonna watch
Alright.
some perks.
I don't know what to think about it.
There you go. So
Here's my challenge, JP. Since it's one of your favorite movies, have you read the book?
I have not. I'm not a
Oh.
reader. I'm gonna say that out loud. I watch the anime. I don't read the mangas.
What's the anime? Well, go read the book. It's about the book is about the size of The Hobbit, so it's not super long. It's a pretty quick read. That's
well,
what I'll
for
say.
Jason Echo, JP, El Dandino, Steve the Stevie, we'll catch you next week. Bye bye.
Hi, I'm JP Cerno, and welcome. Hi, I'm JP Cerno, and thank you for watching Oye Dimelo. Hi, I'm JP Cerno, and thank you for watching Oye Dimelo. Fucking shit. Okay. Hey, I'm JP Cerno, and thank you for watching Oye Dimelo. Right? Jesus
Not even a
Christ.
flub.
And as soon as it's the third one, because this is the third one, right? I am JP Cerno, and thank you for watching Oye Dimelo. Oye Dimelo. Super cut of every time I fuck it up. Hey, I'm JP Cerno, and thank you for watching Oye Dimelo. Hey, I'm JP Cerno, and thank you for watching Oye Dimelo Network. And click here for additional videos, and don't forget to subscribe. The lonely singles in your neighborhood already did. What? Oh, what? Me? Hello?
Hello?
So it wasn't me.
Yes.
It was me. I just unplugged my.
Got you. You know what's funny? What?
I was gonna say. Apparently, I was looking at more trivia shit, and I guess Bruce Willis, Kevin Kline was Bruce Willis took over Kevin Kline for that role. And I guess
definitely saw Kevin Kline in this. It probably would have been a better movie with Kevin Kline, honestly.
Oh damn! Okay, I can maybe see that. I guess the Tracy Ullman. I guess the original ending. Tracy Ullman is a bartender, and I don't know if it's at the party, but basically Bruce Willis runs away to Europe with her, and she's like his new like girlfriend or something like that. And I guess it didn't do well, and Zemeckis thought that it was too much of a happy ending and wanted a darker ending. So.
Kevin Kline is definitely like one of the I just did kind of remember the name, couldn't see a face, did a Google.
Oh,
Yeah.
you did a Google? Oh,
I
you
did
did
it.
a
I did a
Google?
Google. I did a Juju.
Yeah,
There's a
this
lot
would
of
have been like the Kevin Kline coming off of like A Fish Called Wanda. Like he would have murdered
That's
this
what I'm
show.
thinking. When the minute when I thought that and you said I can see him, I'm like, it's totally Fish Called Wanda kind of Kevin Kline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
how pretentious is this setup? You could see the O-ring, the green screen, and the mic.
Is that
It
a
looks like
back?
you're in the
Is that
2001 Space Odyssey bubble.
Whoa!
is that a back O ring?
Oh no! This is the front one. I just moved the I zoomed in the camera so that it wasn't in frame while we were doing the thing.
No, but I'm confused. What confused? I'm confused. What is
Oh,
the light
there,
ring?
there. Hold on. Let me zoom out. My setup is
Ah, okay, I get it. And no. I get it now. I thought it was giant, but it's just perspective. It was a camera
yeah,
trick. I got it now.
yes.
I got it. All right. Well, guys, I'm gonna head on out. So,
Oh, we're still recording.
no, are we?
No, it says live.